You're listening to Dead Candy, dedicated entertainment for the dead.
Spoiler alert, Slash's Paradise encourages viewers to watch these horror films before listening to our show. Danny and Lance will go through everything, including filmmaking, dialogue, characters, and even full scene breakdowns when we get excited. Enjoy the show.
Da 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 da. Start spreading the kills.
Okay, Danny, we gotta do this.
I'm leaving Camp Crystal Lake today.
Okay, well, we gotta do this.
I wanna be a part of it. Jason takes Manhattan.
All right,
okay.
Yay! All right, then
I
he's
wanted
done.
to be a part of it.
Thank God he's done. Yeah, you heard it here. It's Jason Takes Manhattan.
Part 8 in the Friday the franchise history. Friday the 13th franchise. This is part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Why?
I don't know, Lance.
Do
you think it's sort of like, let's see what sticks?
Like, do we really need to get him out of his element at this point? We've killed him how many times? We've stuck him to the bottom of the lake how many times?
Twice.
We've we've forced him against Tommy Jarvis and now Carrie. And what else is left?
What else is left besides making a... We can't make a Freddy versus Jason yet, so
no,
let's...
Still trying, but that didn't happen.
So it's Jason takes on the New York subway system.
Pretty much. New York is its own villain.
Jason takes on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. Like, there was some ideas for this to be a sequel to the part 7, but they didn't really happen. The studio basically went, let's just get somebody new. So
time and time again, Lance, people don't look before they leap.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is probably one of those that are like, it made it past the first round of pitches and someone said, fuck yeah, do it.
Jason Takes on Manhattan.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, we were supposed to get a sequel to part 7. It didn't work out. There was a couple of different versions of that. We're supposed to have some of the actors come over. That didn't work out. So we get a brand new filmmaker from Universal. Just came over to Paramount. Gets a chance to make a Jason movie. Why not? So he basically had 2 ideas for this movie.
Okay.
And one was Jason actually goes to New York. It's an epic. You squeeze everything out of New York that you can.
All right.
Another one was Jason's on a big ship with a bunch of kids, and he's kind of stuck in the boiler room or the steam room of the ship. You know, he's down there, kind of a thing, and he comes up and kills a bunch of kids on a boat. So we got both of those in one movie, kind of. And
yeah. It's Jason Takes Manhattan, but it mostly doesn't take place in Manhattan. Mostly.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Big ideas, big dreams, or just, big ideas that were just going to be a little too expensive.
Yeah. Unfortunately. But we were sold a New York film, Jason in New York.
Dude, if you've watched the trailer for this film, it was like people didn't know what was going on. So it starts with a New York skyscrape, right? The scape.
Yes.
Scape. The skyscape.
There we go.
Scraping at the bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
There we are. So it starts with the New York skyline and all the familiar buildings. And it does start with how I started this pod very beautifully, by the way. With Start Spreading the News, the instrumental by Frank Sinatra is kind of playing there, and it's got a slow pan down, and it shows someone watching or looking upon the harbor.
Yeah.
And it's just the back of someone. They're like, okay, it's nothing crazy. Starts zooming in slowly and zooming in slowly. And it's just like, wait a minute. What am I looking at here? That person looks really friggin' slimy. And they turn around and it's the hockey mask wearing slasher favorite Jason Voorhees is back, baby, but in Manhattan. And that's what the trailer, with a lot of like moments of people screaming in, it looked like they were in Manhattan, and that's it. Title card, Jason Takes Manhattan. This time it's, you know, Metropolitan or whatever the tagline was. But the point is that as a fan, you hear that, you see that, and you go, holy crap. The problem with the amount of kills we got at Camp Crystal Lake, there weren't enough people. We wanted more.
Oh,
Can you imagine if Jason wreaked havoc on an entire city the size of New York? Anyway.
I guess. I think the tagline's right there, by the way.
Oh, the tagline is right here. New York has a new problem. Yeah, I like that okay enough, but this one is the better one. The Big Apple's in big trouble. That's the tagline.
Okay, I want to get right into something really fast, but we got some business to take care of. I like to take care of it really early.
Sure.
We have a game here called Slash Word. Danny, what is Slash Word?
Slash Word, Lance, is the horror version, the Slasher's Paradise version of the popular game Password, wherein whenever you hear the password, or in this case, the slash word said by either myself or Lance, said, take a drink of your favorite beverage of choice. It can be alcoholic. It cannot be. We just ask that you play along because it's a lot of fun to play Slash Word.
Exactly. And every time we have a Slash Word, we have a special guest calling in to Slasher's Paradise to give you, the listeners, the Slash Word. So today, our special guest is...
Well, he is a fan favorite for anyone who loves 80s comedians named after wild cats.
I know where this is going.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got Bobcat Goldthwait to call in and give the slash word for this episode of Slasher's Paradise.
Wow.
Yeah. Bobcat does love a good Jason Takes Manhattan. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I actually don't know if that's true.
Hey, you learned it here first. In Slasher's Paradise, Bobcat is a fan of Jason Takes Manhattan. All right, Bobcat, you're on the line. What is the slash word of the night?
The slash word is fish, because Jason looks like a fish at the end.
All right. Thank you very much there, Mr. Bobcat.
Mm-hmm. I love Bobcat Goldthwait, a huge fan, and I'm glad he called in.
All right, Danny, give us our very basic breakdown. The Pina-Kill-ada for Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
All right, so the Pina-Kill-ada by Danny Gonzalez for this iteration, Jason Takes Manhattan, is as thus. Jason is accidentally woken up from his watery grave by being electrocuted from someone on a boat who is dragging an anchor, and in so returning from the dead, stalks a bunch of graduating seniors who are on a boat to Manhattan and takes it after that. And that's your Pina-Kill-ada.
Great. All right. The breakdown for the film was released July 28th, 1989. The budget was $5 million. The box office was $14 million. 0.3. That is about $7 million less than our last movie just 1 year ago, unfortunately.
Bummer.
It was written and directed by the same person, Rob Hedden. And the movie stars Jensen Daggett, Scott Rivas, Peter Mark Richmond, and Kane Hodder, back from the dead. Man.
I know it's a struggle, but, you got to take it.
Okay, so the one thing I wanted to say about this movie, there was something about New York in this time of film, this era of film.
Yep.
1989. 90, 91. There's a couple movies shot during this time. And then remember that Paramount's trying to match Jason up with a couple people. Particularly for me, the films that were shot in New York at this time, I would love to see the matchup. Jason versus the Ninja Turtles.
Oh my God.
Versus Batman, even though he's in Gotham, some of it was shot in New York. But the way that Big City was shot back then, because our opening and our end is in New York and it's shot mostly in alleys. I want that matchup. Just, it reminds me of each other, the way that they're filmed, and New York as this punk-filled, crime-wave city.
Hey, Jason, what are you doing? Is that a machete? Was that Raphael?
Sure.
Manhattan? You got to understand what Crystal Lake is before Manhattan. I don't know where I was going, but...
I just want to see that matchup. They're trying to get matchups anyway. Why not?
Casey Jones... is wearing his mask, kind of looks like hockey mask.
Yes, it does.
Jason has a mask that is a hockey mask. They look at each other and then fight.
There's another connection here. Who's the voice of one of the turtles?
One of the turtles, Donatello, is voiced by Corey Feldman. Hello, Tommy Jarvis.
Hello.
Hey, Mikey, you ever think about what Splinter was saying? You know, like not having him?
Anyway, this has turned into the Ninja Turtles podcast. The Dome Head. Okay.
I love it. Tommy Jarvis was supposed to be a part of this film as well. They're trying to bring Tommy Jarvis back as desperately as they can, but they can't, unfortunately, do it. Budget cuts, casting cuts, story cuts. Cuts, deep cuts with Danny.
But we weren't gonna shy away from the deep cuts that we know and love for the genre that has been, well, slasher movies up to this point. But we have a full-on formula for Friday the 13th movies. Case in point, we want boobies, apparently, right away. Not even, folks, 5 minutes in, not even 5 minutes in, do we get our first nudity shot of, the perpetrators of who actually resurrected Jason. So it starts with two individuals, two adults who are chilling on a yacht. Apparently yachts are now just like going into Camp Crystal Lake, as well as full-on cruise ships. Can we just talk about that?
Yeah, we can. One, they're high schoolers, and they're captaining this yacht by themselves.
Well, you know how these New England East Coast trust fund kids are, Muffy and Buffy and Chip and Douglas. You know, they're just like
what a fool.
Chip Douglas. They're probably like, yeah, I'm gonna take my dad's yacht out and we can go and have our own time. Hey, you know, I had fun times but I took my parents' vehicles out. In this case, this person's vehicle was the yacht.
Got a very nice yacht.
Also, very nice.
Why is Camp Crystal Lake running power through a loose power line running through the lake?
I don't
understand that.
I don't know a lot about power lines, Lance. Just power line from the Goofy movie. That's about it.
Okay.
And when I was in the back seat of the car going on road trips, looking at the power lines going up and down, and then you were doing... Anyway, that's very, very specific. But what I do know about this power line, that is a thick power line. That should not have been compromised, but yet when you drag an anchor on it...
I mean, it's just laying at the bottom of a lake.
Well,
I don't understand it. And also, Jason's crotch is right on top of it. So, like, he is actually electrified through his crotch region, which is what resurrects him again.
And what we all know, and Lance, you know this, I know this, if you are going to be resurrected for the third time or fourth time, it has to start from the crotchal region.
It's got to be a jolt, quite a jolt.
Touche, man. I will say this, though. They at least... for what we signed up for, they're like, yeah, you're gonna get ridiculousness from the beginning.
Yeah.
Although, did they need to catch us up on the lore of Jason as that kid does in the beginning? He tells the Jason story. We don't need to fucking hear the story. We don't need to hear how Bruce Wayne's parents died again. We get it. We know the story. He was a kid. He drowned in the lake, and now he haunts the lake. When he brings it up, he does it again. Like,
I feel
catch everybody up.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the constant now. Like, we got to bring it back. We do it every movie. Why not? You know, like
Sure.
Did you not watch the last 7, 8 movies? Well, here it is.
I mean, if it was just called Jason Takes Manhattan, fine. But it is literally Friday the 13th Part 8.
Yeah.
And
if you're not on board yet, get on
I don't
board.
even exactly. I don't even know, Lance. Maybe I did. Maybe I missed it, but I don't remember them really referencing Friday the 13th, the date, since I think like Part 6.
No, there's actually spaces of time, years between these movies. Technically, even though we're still year to year.
Right.
We're getting an annual Friday the 13th. Now there's technically space between them.
Lance.
Yes.
I said something on the last episode that I would like to revisit.
Okay.
Do you remember when I said that Kane Hodder was not my favorite Jason?
Yes.
I still stand by that.
Okay.
But if it was not clear how much awesome, super, massive respect I have for the man Kane Hodder, allow me to elaborate. There was a scene apparently where Jason is on the ship and he's stalking around and he's looking through those ship windows as
portholes.
Sure. And apparently there was supposed to be, because there's a dog in the movie, there was supposed to be a moment where Jason kicks the dog.
Oh no.
To make his entrance somehow, some way. And Kane Hodder, I think they actually, stunt filmed it with a, trained dog and stuff. He said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to kick the dog. That's too much. Kane Hodder, my absolute freaking dude, said, no kicking dogs here. We're not going to do that shit. And they didn't do it.
I think what his actual quote was, I'm not fucking Michael Myers. I'm not kicking a dog around here.
Michael doesn't kick dogs. The man in black kicked the dog. Michael eats them.
He does not eat dogs. Anyway, where the hell are we? Have you ever been to New York?
I have. I went to New York, Lance, as a chaperone for a school trip.
Oh, okay.
They did the whole East Coast.
Oh, wow.
thing.
That's very relatable to this. Okay.
Yes. I was a cool chaperone, right? Because the bus has to go from point A to point B. So it's like they did it's like Washington, D.C. So it's like one of those educational trips. It's Washington, D.C.
Oh my God.
And
It's very relatable. This is insane.
Yeah. They go to Boston, Pennsylvania. They do all these places. And of course, one of the stops is New York. They go to the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, and all this cool stuff. So when I went, I want to go back, obviously, as not a chaperone. It's not like I want to go nuts, but there was moments where I wanted to just go explore and stuff like that. So the answer is yes, I've been there. And I was the cool chaperone because when you're on the bus going from we got to go from this town to that town, I would get on the mic because it's like a charter bus and I would just do impersonations. Not that I ever do them here in the Slash's Paradise.
Oh my God. God, you've been doing it your whole life. I love it.
Have you been?
Yeah, I've been. I went during the summer one year for about a week or two.
What'd you do?
I just explored. It's incredibly easy to get lost in New York. And,
very much.
If you just kind of wander around, there's something around every corner.
Yeah. Kevin McAllister did it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he was lost in New York.
He did get lost in New York. And he did quite well for himself. Let me say, he lived it up.
Stay at the new celebrity ding dang dong.
Yeah, but it's pretty hard to be found in New York if you're trying to get lost. Anyway.
Well, so think about that and look, it's wildly ridiculous and wildly stupid as a plot point, as a pitch for Jason to be taken to Manhattan and wreak havoc there. However, given what you're saying and given the actual facts that New York is vast and you can get lost in there, imagine if he was given full range or where we were able to see that sort of imagination on the screen of him given full range to wreak havoc. Go nuts.
Yeah.
What would Jason do for real, though?
Yeah.
Because honestly, folks, we don't get to see that in this movie. We get to see a very small bit and piece here, and it feels edited. It feels contained. Jason, yeah, I would love to see maybe in a graphic novel or an animated something where you can just let him go nuts.
Yeah, exactly. The concept is interesting, but we've kind of said before is Jason kind of protects his territory. He kills anyone in his territory. So then you put him in New York why is he gonna hunt the specific people in New York when he's got a fucking smorgasbord that he can go to town on and do whatever he wants in a big city, you know? So
are you ready for justification theory real quick?
Yeah.
Somebody was like, I think I heard this. It was like, well, he's territorial of his lake, and the entire time he's doing something, he's surrounded by water. He's on the boat. He's in Manhattan, you know, it's an island, you know, so it's like that he was inspired by the surrounding waters.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say it, and I don't believe it. But yeah,
I like the idea. Okay, so this is like 2 movies in one for me. So the first 3/4 of the movie is on the yacht. It's graduation, apparently. What a treat.
I mean, honestly, but yeah, it's a full on. This is a ship, though. This is a full, like,
yeah.
It's supposed to be a yacht, but I feel like it is a 100%. They have a captain. I mean, not like yachts don't have captains or big boats don't have captains, but this thing is humongous.
Mm-hmm.
Called the Lazarus, right?
Lazarus
Pandemonium. Paleontologist. Panama. The Lazarus Panama.
I think that's what it is.
Alrighty.
Yeah, and like thinking about if you've been on a ship, if you've been on a yacht, either way, very close quarters, very small spaces. So meeting Jason in those areas can be very terrifying. What this movie kind of does is it hits the steam room a lot, which reminds me of the boiler room, which reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street. Which a lot of times, and I think in these 3-4 next movies, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, you guys wanted Freddy so bad. They're like, we're going to put Jason in these elements just to show what it could look like.
Yeah. They go to New York, where New York is synonymous for, you know, its pizza shops. Freddy has a pizza face. Yeah, I see it.
Sure.
Oh, wait, no. I do want to say something about that you just brought up about close quarters and how terrifying that is. I do remember, okay, this was very much one of the ones that was, you know, on the Up All Nights, on the Horror-thons, whenever there was a Friday 13th marathon, whatever the case may be. I remember seeing this movie a lot, but not the majority of the movie stuck in my mind. Like, it didn't imprint on me. There are 2 moments that imprint on me in this movie that I'm like, I just remember always just there in my mind. When we start the movie with that couple who's on the yacht, the guy gets killed pretty quickly. The girl starts to try and evade Jason. She doesn't really have a lot of places to go. As Lance mentioned, it's close quarters, but they're on a mini yacht compared to the Lazarus. And she finds herself kind of like trying to hide in, like, it's like usually where you stock like
life
jackets, or like if it's like the fishing compartment where you're throwing all your fish. She just gets in there and hides. And I remember thinking, okay, what would I do if Jason was after me? As a kid, I remember thinking I would hide, and I would hide in a spot he wouldn't know where to find me. So maybe she was thinking that. Well, he finds her. And when he decides, it was already a decision. He's gonna kill her, right? But when he starts, and he has a, it's like a little mini harpoon. When he starts to go in for the kill, she's doing this thing like, well, she can't escape. She's just in this little compartment. It was either she was going to, you know, hide from him forever, or he was going to get her. Well, he gets her, and it's just this slow sort of approach with the harpoon.
Yeah.
And it's like, it made me feel terrible. Like, that's what it feels like when you have no place to go, and he's not going to let up.
Yeah.
He's just going to keep going until he kills her, and he does. So I remember that moment of being like, he's gonna get you. Maybe it was the Alice Cooper song still playing in my head. There is a song attached to this at the end about like Jason getting you. He's gonna get you. I remember that.
Yeah, that was an interesting point, because I thought the same during that. I was like, do you jump in the water? But like, she doesn't technically really know what's going on. She just now heard the story of Jason Voorhees. Her boyfriend just told her. And then the asshole scared her.
Well, yeah.
and like with as a fake Jason with the mask, with a fake knife, and like pretending to stab her. So she just now heard the lore. So now that's in her head. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. She could jump off the boat and there's somebody else waiting for her. She doesn't know. So
it's totally true. I scare my wife all the time at home, like all the time. Like we watch a movie and I scare her and she's like, "Don't do that." Okay, so then the scare's over. The terror is gone because I've got the scare and it's over, right? And then imagine that. Then the real terror presents itself.
Right.
How would you react in that moment if you're the person who's who just got scared? Essentially,
it's the boy that cried wolf, right?
Exactly.
Like you just are sure.
Mentioning my wife, I do have to give a special shout out to her for the fact that this is her favorite Friday the 13th film in the franchise.
The whole franchise?
The whole franchise. Favorite. Manhattan is her favorite. She's not like me in the sense of we like we both love horror, obviously, and we both, like a lot of the same aspects of horror.
Yeah.
But she didn't grow up with the Fridays. I grew up with the Fridays. So she's coming in later and she's like, oh, they are all ridiculous in her opinion.
Yeah.
And there's a love for that. But she loves how ultra ridiculous this one is. So
it's something that I've said about Jason is you can stylize the hell out of him. Those are my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
In 3, it's literally 3D, and that's where he gets his mask and his identity. In 6, it's that gothic horror that you kind of mentioned. It's very stylized. This one is very stylized. Like I said, it's just 2 different movies in one. But once he gets to New York, I love this movie, and he's very creative on the boat or the ship. I think even the creator, the director and writer of this was like, we've seen enough of the machete. I think everyone's kind of said this at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't get that many machete kills, did we?
No,
Up
honestly.
until this point.
Look, bullshit, by the way. I call bullshit because in the previous one, in Friday the 13th, The New Blood, he kills with a freaking party favor.
Right.
And a weed whacker and a spot. No, we have not seen enough of the machete. I call bullshit.
Well, I think that filmmaker as well. We just kind of talked about that movie. I think even he said, like, we've seen too much of the machete. It's time to get creative. They kind of said the same thing with this one. Like, he's not, like, the machete is not synonymous with Jason. The actual, like, image that I have in my head of Jason, he's in the video game and all this, was the axe over the head.
The axe. Mm-hmm.
And it's zombie Jason. It's not even like the original humanoid Jason, so...
Yeah, I think humanoid's going to be my new favorite way to describe him.
Yeah.
Because up to this point, you could refer to Jason in the beginning as a human for sure. But, I mean, he's a humanoid at this point. He's like zombie. Okay, let's just talk a little bit more about the appearance. Jason had his spine and his jawline and a lot of like deteriorating aspects of him in the previous installment. And one of the obvious things that we remember from The New Blood is that Tina was able to destroy his mask. So he needed a new one.
Yeah. So
he gets a new one in the opening scene because, well, that's what the little douchebag who has the yacht brings so he could scare his girlfriend. So Jason has a new mask, and you know what? Quite frankly, thank God, because it covers a lot of his face.
Right.
The black screens are back.
Mm-hmm.
Lance, I don't know if you've noticed in the HD version of this movie, the black screens are not only back, but they are so much when they do flashes and lightning bolts and things of that nature, you can see Kane's eyes.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's bad for business.
You can see the glimmer.
Yeah, you can see his real eyes. You can see Kane Hodder's real eyes, and that's not what you're supposed to see under the mask. If anything, you need to see a sloth kind of like situation where it's like one eye, if anything. But so that's that. And then Jason is like an all black. So basically the way Lance and I dress on a daily. And he's still very zombified. And he is dripping with goo. What? Why am I dripping with goo? Do you know where that's from?
I don't want to guess and be wrong. Go ahead.
Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
At the end, Janusz. That's why am I dripping with goo, which takes place in New York. Oh my gosh.
That's all connected. What year was that? Oh my God. What year was Ghostbusters 2?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know it was, the first one was 84. And so after that. But, so, again, it's still a Friday the 13th film. It's still a situation where you got to introduce...
Oh my God, it was 1989.
So here we are. Goo was apparently on a surplus.
Oh my goodness.
Goo was on a surplus.
He is always wet and shiny in this movie.
He is dripping with goo.
My one complaint, where the fuck did he get the gloves? He didn't have the gloves in the last movie.
No, he didn't.
And as soon as he's resurrected and comes up on the yacht,
Yeah.
we're still in the beginning scene. We need to get past this. But he has
we will.
gloves.
We will.
In this movie, he has gloves. He has massive forearms too. In this movie.
Yeah. Like Kane was like, all right, apparently I didn't hit my upper body too much for the last installment. So I'm going to need to up my reps, baby.
Yes.
Kane Hodder does not need to do any more upper body, training for his depiction of Jason Voorhees. He was quite intimidating and formidable as it already was. However, he's noticeably larger.
Yeah.
I could see it in the pecs for sure, but you could also see that it's a little bit more like cleanly attached to his chest. The shimmer also like adds, like it'll define a lot more of you. So like, goddamn, Jason, you've been doing push-ups underwater. See, it's resistance training. That's what it is.
Good call.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's trying to lift that deck off his head the whole time. And
yeah, because when you see him being, we are still in the opening. When you see him being resurrected, his hand is sticking up. It almost looks like when you leave the toys and you had like a G.I. Joe, and it's like, where's my G.I. Joe? Oh, there it is, because the hand is sticking up straight in the air. Yeah, dripping with goo in full black, but like little bits and pieces are missing, so you still see that there's a zombified version of Jason. I want to think that the reason for the gloves was maybe Kane saying, "You're not gonna put this bullshit on my hands anymore, dude."
But
Just
they put
give
it
me
on
gloves."
his forearms. I thought the same thing, and then his forearms are totally exposed, which are all made up. So I was like, oh well.
So let's also talk about the aspect of this fun freaking cruise. Take Jason out of the cruise. What a fun cruise, man.
You were gonna say that.
I mean, you got a full-on disco room. You got one of your seniors is a rock artist who's got her freaking metal shredding guitar, and there's a filmographer. There's a girl who's apparently playing fast and loose. All the criteria of what you want in the counselors / partygoers.
Don't forget about our undefeated boxer, Julius.
I was gonna set him up for you, man. That's your boy.
I love Julius so much. It's so random. Like, I didn't have boxing at my school, but like the fact that they set him up, like, he's undefeated. Like,
oh yeah, Julius is a real fucking badass.
Like if we built our ultimate Friday the 13th, Julius would be one of my top picks.
Oh, absolutely. Adult Tommy, Julius, because like I just need to circle back real quick. The balls, we did talk about it, but the balls on Adult Tommy.
Oh yeah.
You're like, yeah, my plan is to put this chain over Jason's head. What's the problem? Like, no, do it from a distance or something. You're too close. So yeah. Adult Tommy, I say Julius. Well, you got to throw Tina. She's got the telekinesis, right? Not Rob. He got the business.
He did, man.
I would say Trish and Chris and Alice and Ginny. Wow. Okay. So why don't we just everybody? How's that?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Chris is my final girl, but anyway, that's for another kind of episode.
And I have some
something.
for after this, but I'm not going to mention them because we haven't got there yet.
Thank goodness. Yes, very diverse high school class. But my thing is, this is a graduation, and one of our characters is still giving a biology report to graduate.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, leeway to you.
So, yeah, this movie, it takes some topics and decides to, like kind of talk about them a little bit about like, okay, so when I mean topics, I mean uncomfortable topics.
Yeah.
Child abuse, traumatic moments, bullying, and what we see with this biology moment, an indecent relationship between teacher and student, or at least attempt at that. So just to paint this really quick, folks, there are a lot of students on this cruise that have obviously deeper relationships with the people involved, right? It's not just students and that's it. You have a, essentially is going to be set up to be our main character, our final girl, Rennie, who is attached to the head chaperone by way of she is his niece. That is her uncle, Charles McCullough, who is in the running for biggest a douchebag of all time. He's just one of those chaperones, older men who's going to be like, there will be no fun. Right. There will be no nonsense. And then if there is nonsense, there will be no fun with that nonsense.
Nice.
So,
nicely done.
And, you know, there's a love interest as well. So all that to say is like there's a lot of other issues here. But what Lance was referring to with the biology experiment is that, and I forget her name right now, the forward student, and ends up being sort of like she's taking over the Melissa character from Friday, the previous Friday that we just talked about, the New Blood. Anyway, this indecent student makes her way into Charles McCullough's his quarters and is in scantily clad lingerie and has drawn on herself some biology anatomy situations where she's got the digestive tract painted on herself. It is all a ruse. It is all a coup to get Charles essentially in hot water by throwing herself at him and then trying to record it with the very impressionable. It's almost like identical between Melissa and I forget the movie fanatic from the New Blood. It's carbon copy. Yeah. You have a sort of misunderstood nerdy character who's being pressured and impressioned upon by the popular hot girl to film this whole situation and try and catch Charles in hot water. So right after that attempt, this character meets her end. But I didn't really expect to see that. How's that?
Yeah, there's a lot of it's the onion, right? You keep peeling back. There's like random layers. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So we got some child trauma. We got some love interest. We got some a kid rebuking. Lest we forget this. There is a son of the captain who the captain wants the son to go into the family business of being a captain. And he's like, I don't want to do that. So many layers of just like innocuous sort of tangents here. Oh, that's that's it. Rennie's character keeps seeing visions of Jason, and that's what I'm like, wait, I know that she's kind of seen him before. She had some sort of trauma when she was pushed over a little mini boat in order to learn how to swim. It's the old school method. So folks, when we talk about other elements and other aspects of awful topics, when we talk about child trauma, oh my God. Apparently, Rennie and Charles, when Rennie was younger, Charles was like, oh, you want to learn how to swim? I'll teach you how to swim. I'm going to take you on a boat in Camp Crystal Lake and I'm going to throw you over.
Right.
You want to swim? Sink or swim sort of thing. Well, it is believed because she's got these like visions that she keeps on happening, another like traumatic experience as a kid, sort of like Tina. A lot of this is, you could see the layers of what was supposed to be a continuation of the previous film, which was the intention.
Yeah.
And that is the mirror of it. Tina being, having that traumatic experience as a kid when she drowned her father. And so now we have Rennie being thrown over the little boat by her uncle, her terrible fucking uncle, who threw over the boat so that she could learn to swim. And while she was trying to swim and she was essentially drowning, she was being grabbed by the foot by a boy, Jason.
Yeah, I guess I'm like going through the timeline. I'm like, I guess that matches up. The child Jason, the child Rennie. Okay, that makes sense.
Charles is old as shit, so maybe.
I guess. again, it's like, I guess it makes sense. Again, we have another connection to Jason, somebody that's had. I kind of like that. It's not, I don't think on purpose, but when you think about it, it's like Jason's always a legend. So the fact that people have had run-ins or they think they've had run-ins and then they're having another one. Anyway, there's iconic moments to this movie.
Well, think about this, Lance, for a little bit. You have this situation where the movie came out 1 year after the last one.
Right.
So for real, the timeline to scrap together a movie, get the script in order, and with the other script the original script rather being thrown out the window, they're trying to string a bunch of shit together and seeing what sticks. So yeah, I'm thinking that nobody at this point with this cash cow is thinking about how the timeline or the years add up. And that's a travesty because I appreciate the attempt to make it is actually more important. We actually have a connection between the main character and Jason when he was a boy.
Right.
But not probably the sharpest connection, but there.
Yeah. But again, like watching movie to movie, if you do the marathon of it, you start to realize everybody's had this like trauma, and it's like something they could have so played on. It's a good point that you mentioned, but something that they could have really played on, maybe the future of Friday the 13th and Jason, once these rights are combined, could kind of play on is like, I had an experience once with them, I swear. And then you have it again, and the trauma that you have to kind of re-experience and bring back to the table with all your friends and family. And it's something cool that they accidentally did, I think, and all these connections to Jason and these past stories with an interaction with the little boy in the lake.
I agree. I think that there was at least an attempt. So I appreciate that. As far as where we go after this, maybe some of the attempts were a little bit more sharpened rather than others. But Lance mentioned earlier, folks, about how he does see this movie in two parts. And quite frankly, you got to. There's no other way around it. So a large part of the movie takes place on the ship, which was a lot of fans' critique, because you can't call something Jason Takes Manhattan and build it as something that's going to take place in Manhattan a lot, where most of it takes place on a ship. But let's talk about the ship. On the Lazarus, these kids are getting chopped up, killed one by one. God, that is very specific of a deep cut. That is from actually, I think, the Evil Dead remake, where... we're going to actually have an Evil Dead tie-in pretty soon, as a matter of fact. But anyway. So pretty much all folks that were on the ship die. But our main characters are surviving and have pretty much escaped the ship before it has made land with... docked at New York. So we have Charles and Rennie and Julius and the dog and, other folks. But the point is that as they're exiting the Lazarus, they're in the lifeboat, right? Are they going to be seated according to class? I have a child. So they make their way very briskly, by the way, all the way to Manhattan. And while they just kind of park their little rowboat at the fishing port. I'm just saying this, like, as they're leaving, though, before that, they see Jason with the axe just looking at him from above and being like, oh, y'all are leaving? I thought we were having fun. And then you don't see Jason until, and they make a point to show you that it took a while. Honestly, they do make a point to suggest that it takes a while because they start rowing and it's kind of like, they go through the daytime fog and they're like, there's the city. And then they're rowing and the city's still very fucking far by the time they see the skyline or the skyscraper.
And the Coast Guard doesn't exist.
So no Coast Guard. It's Cheech Marine. And he's like, well, better late than never. That's another Ghostbusters reference. So anyway.
89, baby.
Yeah. So they get there and you think they escaped Jason. We didn't see Jason. there's no way he's going to just get to Manhattan. Au contraire, mon frere.
He does immediately.
He sure the fuck does get to Manhattan. As soon as they get off the boat, he just is there as well. I don't know. What do you? It's left up for your imagination, I guess. Some folks think that he's rapidly swimming. Others think that he's just holding on to the rowboat at the bottom.
Sure.
Whatever. I don't care at this point. It honestly doesn't.
It's Jason Takes Manhattan. Who cares?
So we finally get Jason and oh man. Okay. All right. Go with me for a little bit, folks. Go with me on this little journey. Okay. I'm going to take a sip of whiskey. Hold on. So leading up to this, it was a lot of great marketing. As we know, Jason was, if you see the poster that you see, there's Jason kind of peering over the skyscrape with his knife, and it's like Jason Takes Manhattan. There was an original idea of Jason slashing through the I Heart New York poster, which the New York Travel Commission said, we ain't doing that.
This actually happened. This was actually a pre-ad. They were still in production. The ad actually happened, and New York came through and sued Paramount for this because you're painting New York as this bad place.
Right. It's suggesting that, whatever happens at Camp Crystal Lake happens in New York. And, okay, fine. They don't get the poster. Oh, they didn't pull any punches with what they made New York look like.
Oh, yeah. Immediately, once they get off, of course, once they get off their rowboat, as Danny put it, and they want to separate, but Remy gets, kidnapped, gets taken right in front of the group by two thugs of New York.
Still staying with from the New Blood. Still staying with that there is overall villain Jason, then there are sub villains, and then this one we have Charles, and then a sub villain are the two
thugs.
Drug thugs. Honestly,
drug thugs. Yes,
and I don't say just because they're thugs means they do drugs, but hugs, not drugs, folks.
There's an establishing shot of one of these thugs, I think in the beginning, doing literally injecting themselves in a dark, dirty alley with what we assume would be drugs. I'll say drugs, just in general.
Also, when these thugs kidnap Rennie, it is hard to watch. I'm going to be honest with you, because they show them take her away from the group and they have a gun so nobody can do anything. And then piece of shit Charles doesn't even let Julius, the freaking Gold Glove champ, eventually. Yeah. If he would have survived,
Julius
probably would have been a Gold Glove champ. But Julius wanted to go save her, and Charles was like, no, we can't get involved.
They'll kill her.
Shut the fuck up, Charles.
No, you got to do something,
piece of shit. Dude, I will. Woo. So Charles just lets these people take Rennie. They take her to an alley and they find this sofa, and it is the same sofa where Howard the Duck falls on.
Oh my God, dude. Is that another 89 movie too? Oh my God.
I think I had this same sofa when I was growing up. The point is, you see the shot, and they are, it's two men, and they're holding this woman down, and it is very uncomfortable, and then they have a needle, and it is filled with presumably drugs, and the needle is going straight to the vein, and you think someone's going to intercept, someone's going to save Rennie, and no, the needle goes into her vein, fully injects her with the drugs, and she's not being saved, and you're like, oh, damn. Yeah. They are doing this shit. Okay, so this movie doesn't give one shit about anything that it wants to stop. So, eventually, Jason shows up. He's the hero.
He is the hero.
And here we go again. Right. You're making Jason into a cool root for character, which at this point, fuck it, right?
Seriously. And that's why I think the movie gets so fun in the New York scenes, because you just constantly root for him. There's just kind of these meta jokes throughout the whole New York sequence where you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I like Jason.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Screw what New York actually thought about the poster.
Yeah.
The filmmakers were like, oh, cool. We're going to get you.
Speaking of posters, he actually sees the advertisement poster for the very mask, the hockey mask that he's wearing.
Yes.
And it's, again, a meta moment because he looks straight at the camera.
He looks at the poster. You see him react. He does like a head tilt. He's like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Oh my God.
And then he
dude.
turns to the camera where you see the shot of the poster and he's looking at the camera. He's like, did y'all do this?
Yes.
I get that feeling from him where he's like, y'all did this, didn't you? It's not funny. It's not funny.
He's like the quiet, he's like the silent, he's the actual silent Deadpool. He just totally breaks the fourth wall in this moment and stares at you as the audience member like.
And that's that's, you're so right, Lance. Honestly, it gets so much more fun when they are actually in New York. And if you can't, I'm doing air quotes, folks, because a lot of stuff is presumed to be New York and it was shot in Vancouver.
Right.
But like there is full on 100% New York shots, Times Square.
Yep.
And I think it's just Times Square, right? And maybe the
believe
subway.
So. The subway might have been in New York.
For sure, Times Square is where you actually get New York. And yeah, Kane Hodder has talked about in numerous interviews about how the most fun he has had as Jason was when he got to walk around in Times Square. Because they can't shut that shit down.
No.
They can kind of, ward it off or whatever and put like only extras are here and such like that. But like the rest of the folks can just look over. And when he showed up and he's just walking through and he's Jason, everyone knows Jason. As some folks have put it, Jason and Freddy are as popular as Reagan at this point. You know, they're like, everyone knows who the fuck this is.
Pop culture. We've kind of talked about that. Freddy made it really popular. Jason was in that same stream. So what happened actually during that, it was Kane Hodder actually stayed in full character.
Yes.
To the fans of New York that were just like watching the production the whole time. He actually did the head tilt and all that kind of stuff. Stayed in full Jason character. In the movie, what I love about Kane Hodder's portrayal is he's just like, ooh, New York.
Yeah.
He has a total surprise. Like, what is this? I've never seen neon lights and TVs and all this kind of stuff before.
When you finally see him take in Times Square, he does have that moment where he's like, what the fuck? I think it's fun.
Yeah, the mind of a child.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is also when we are in New York later on that we get the full backstory of what Charles did to Rennie when she was a child and that stuff. But gotta talk about it, Lance. Gotta talk about your boy, Julius.
It's the most iconic, I believe.
It's one of the most, absolutely.
It's definitely what you remember from this movie. One of the main things.
Yep.
It was supposed to happen in Madison Square Garden. It did not happen in Madison Square Garden.
No.
Several
expensive.
scenes were supposed to happen throughout New York.
Supposed to, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
The Brooklyn Bridge, all this kind of stuff, budget cuts. There is an amazing showdown between Julius, the Golden Glove boxer, high school champ himself, and Jason Voorhees on top of a random building that Julius climbed on top of.
So Julius, being the badass that he is, was like, "Fuck this shit! I'm gonna go save Rennie." So he went to go look for her in the alley, and he finds that Rennie has been pseudo saved, but stumbles upon Jason, and Julius is like, "Oh shit! Let still be the hero and pull Jason away." So Julius tries to escape Jason, goes up into this random top of the building, and then, oh, there's Jason.
It's funny that I just thought of the prelude to this was on the actual ship way back. Julius is kind of leading the charge, like, let's go get this motherfucker.
Yep.
And finds all the weapons on the ship. There's a gun, there's a axe, there's probably a machete, go figure.
Spear, I think.
Yeah, he has this moment where he's like, I'm going to use nothing. And he holds up his fist, and then he kind of looks down, grabs the gun. But this gun, but now the gun goes off the ship with Julius at some point. And now he's back, and all he has is his fist, and he's going to take on Jason, the Gold Glove high school champ, the Mr. Undefeated from high school, is going to take on Jason.
They definitely set that up in the beginning. You don't just make a boxing badass to just have him not fight Jason.
Dude, I love him so much. His jumpsuit, everything about Julius. I'm like, he's perfect.
And the dude went down swinging, to pun intended, and he did not compromise what his character was. He's like, I ain't gonna be a pussy, man.
No.
I'm a fighter. I'm a fight. So he does. He tries fighting Jason, and Jason's, giving him an inch, every punch that Julius lands, but it's very obvious that Julius is exerting a lot of energy.
Oh yeah, he's running out of steam.
Yeah, punching him. It's a pretty lengthy roof there, man.
Yeah.
I feel like he punched him like 100 yards.
I think Kane Hodder ended up saying it was like 86 punches.
Yeah, so Julius is an actor. I don't know how much of that was stunt coordinated, but also these old stunt guys, man, they're just like, hit me, dude.
So have you heard this interview with Kane Hodder? Basically, he said all the long shots are the stunt double, so it's these really nice dramatic shots. He said that he thinks that the stunt guy knew how to hold his punches better because Julius was really landing these punches.
Oh boy.
And they hurt a lot more than the other stunt guy. And he's like, man, I felt like I got my ass kicked at the end of this fight. It's his favorite actual kill from this was Kane Hodder's as Jason.
It's a great friggin' kill, folks. And Lance is right when he says that, like, this is one of the things that you remember so much about Manhattan is that Julius is going to stand his ground, punch, and he's driving Jason back. And as a audience member, you're watching and you're thinking, "Oh shit! If he just keeps punching, he's gonna get Jason. He's gonna punch Jason off of the roof." So as he keeps punching, Jason's going back, and they get towards the end, and Jason stops giving in, and it's man, I love that scene because you are rooting for Julius the whole time, and he's punching, and when Jason gets to the point where he's like, "All right, this is where I have to stop."
Yeah, it's like I gave him a bit.
Yeah, and Julius is punching and Jason isn't selling at all. He's like, "Nah, man, this is it." And Julius with his bloody knuckles, because he's been like, punching up a hockey mask essentially.
Yeah.
Just kind of is defeated and gives the line to Jason and says,
"Give me your best shot, motherfucker."
And Jason says, "I will."
Yep. Grabs him by the jacket, the jumper.
Yeah.
Says, "All right, here it is." Rears back and knocks his fucking block off.
Knocks his block off so much that we hadn't seen a punch that fantastic since a year before when Tiny from Killer Clowns from Outer Space knocked that biker's block off right into the trash can. So there goes Julius, and what a scene. What a cool character that, not a lot of super depth, didn't need it. Just a person, you knew where he stood and you knew what he was going to do. He was going to fight. And
it's interesting how little scene time he had, but he did so much more than our previous cast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he stands out. He gives just enough. We know who he is and what he did. He gave us a memorable death. His head goes rolling off the roof into a dumpster in the alley.
And then later gets placed as a jump scare in the cop car.
Yeah, and think about that. Like, Jason went all the way back down. I was like, you know what? That was a good one. I'm going to grab his head out of the dumpster. Yeah. I'm going to use it later. I don't know where, but I'm going to use it later.
So, Lance, that is your and mine. I think one of our we agree on a memorable kill from this movie.
Right.
I think I've talked to you about this probably off pod. That's my new thing. About another kill in this movie.
Which one?
Charles's.
Oof.
And I just realized that I need to actually just get through this really quick because I don't want to be talking about Charles because there's other Charles in my life that I love very much. So the terrible uncle sees Jason in the alleyway, and it is another one. So the girl escaping in the beginning, trying to escape in the beginning, and this other one are the ones that are like lodged into my brain. Because again, and it wasn't even it wasn't even Kane Hodder in Jason Lives who does, and I talked about the violence of the stunt coordinating.
Right.
Jason takes the piece of shit uncle, grabs him, holds him upside down, And another thing about making New York just be vile, there's just a random barrel filled with bullshit, just bile and talk. It feels like it's toxic waste, but it doesn't have to be. It honestly doesn't have to be.
It's got
just
a
water.
green glow to it. It's not glowing. It's got a green tint. It's like dirty.
Antifreeze.
There you go.
It's
in
like
water, in a bucket of
yeah.
water kind of thing. Yeah.
And Jason apparently just was like, oh, dang, good looks. Thank you for meeting me here. I'm going to drown you in this barrel of liquid. And it's not just the drowning because, okay, you hear, oh, he drowned him. Big whoop. No. He holds this terrible ass upside down, puts him in the barrel. And okay, so if you're Jason, you're holding someone in the barrel and you're holding them by both legs. Both legs are essentially splitting the difference between your head. And what Kane Hodder and I guess the stunt person who is being the uncle at this point coordinated is that they were going to be submerged, and he's just violently just thrashing this dude back and forth. And that is full on Kane's signature, just being that controlled but yet aggressive performance. It gives me so many chills, Lance, because it's like, oh, there is ultra violence to this kill.
Yeah.
There is ultra violence to it.
No escape from it. You know what I mean? Like, just put yourself in the shoes of that person, of the victim, and there's no escape. You're dying aggressively, and it's going to be quick.
Yes.
And it's painful and horrible.
Jur woof.
A
A lot of great moments in this movie as far as like iconic shots.
Yes.
They do some stuff in Times Square where, you get the moment. You get the moment. Of course, they're on the subway and it's like, all right, if we're going to film anything and like try to say like, this is New York, what do people always complain about? Oh, all the people in Times Square and the subways. Am I right? Right. But the cool thing is the Times Square one.
Yeah.
It's just punks.
It's the punks.
The punks.
The New York punks.
They're just listening to tunes on their boombox. And Jason's like, I don't give a fuck what you're listening to. Walks by, kicks the shit out of the boombox. The punks get up and they are so much the punks that would get recruited by the Foot Clan.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. What a fucking tie-in. Thank you, Danny. You bought in.
They are so much that style. One of them has a switchblade. It's like, you want what? I forget what he says, but he's like, what the fuck or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jason, again, oh my God, the hilariousness of him just being like, all right, I know all you motherfuckers here don't know what's up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you what you're dealing with. Don't step to me. Jason turns around, takes his mask off, and shows them all what he looks like.
Yeah. We as the audience don't see that.
I just need to talk about that for 2 seconds, Lance. Jason decides in that moment, or at least in that moment, says, I know what I look like.
I know.
I know I look this bad. And y'all are gonna see it and be affected by it. So when he shows them what he looks like, they run away. They run away. They're like, you know what? My bad. Actually,
right.
I'm good.
You got enough problems. We're not going to be another one.
Exactly.
Right.
It's kind of like what, it's not Chili. It's it's the head biker in part 3.
All right.
When he jumps down and he's going to fight Jason and Jason doesn't have a mask and he sees him and he's like, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this. Yeah.
It's that moment like,
Yep.
nah, man, if you're walking around and you look like that, I'm done.
I like there's another scene we're just talking about, like little mini scenes, especially in New York, is the scene with the waiter coming from behind. He kind of ends up in this Jason ends up in this restaurant, and it's the cliche like big dude in the back, the big cook in the back, who's actually a little taller than Kane Hodder in this scene. Comes lumbering out like, oh, I gotta take care of another piece of trash out of the restaurant. Tries to throw Jason out, and Kane Hodder, Jason, grabs this dude who's actually bigger than him and just tosses him over the bar into the mirror behind the bar. It was so funny to me of this just like kind of cliche character and playing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason's like, nope, I'm not dealing with you either.
You know
not a confirmed kill, by the way.
Do you know who that was?
Who was that? I knew it was somebody. It had to have been how big he is.
That is, I know his last name, but I might mess up the first name. Ken Kersinger.
Oh, it is.
Do you know what that is?
The next Jason.
That is it. Yeah.
I didn't know he was a part of this.
Well, not
one.
the next Jason.
The
Freddy versus Jason.
Yes.
The next Jason is still Kane. 2 more times.
I know. I'm saying the next one after Kane. But yes.
Yes.
I knew that he was a stunt coordinator on another Friday movie. Also, 13 Ghosts. But,
hey, now.
Go watch that episode.
Go listen to 13 Ghosts after this.
One of our favorite episodes. That was another like funny episode to me, or a funny scene in the New York era. So
to pretty much wrap up the movie, we have a final showdown between the heroes and Jason in the disgusting, vile, gross, always having random buckets of toxic waste sewers of New York, where Rennie is able to just find one of the toxic waste buckets, throw them on Jason, and you see a fish Jason face, apparently.
Fish Jason.
That is as best as I got, man. Honestly, he just kind of looks like fish Jason.
Dehydrated fish.
Dehydrated, yeah.
Okay.
At the very last thing you see adult Jason, essentially, and the reason I'm saying this is because, well, it means something. The last thing you see is Kane Hodder regurgitate water as the sewers are being flushed. Apparently,
they actually run into Sean and Rennie run into like a tech worker that's like, at midnight the toxic waste comes flushing through the sewers. How dangerous is that?
You liar.
So that's the premise of this. So they need to get out of the sewer by midnight. Well, here it comes. Jason's right on their heels. Here comes this toxic waste through the sewers of New York. Where did the turtles go? Anyway, and it washes over Jason, dehydrated fish Jason.
Yep, crusty
and he starts
ass
to deteriorate even
Koopa.
more.
Yes,
into
a
child.
What?
Jason.
How in the wide world of sports does this little...
So,
my boy,
there's a half-naked child, Jason, sitting there. I guess the sewer has now run mostly dry. It's just water, not toxic waste anymore. So what happened was... Rob Hedden had basically asked, like, hey, can I kill Jason or what? And Paramount was like, whatever. We're losing, like, we're not making money like we used to. You can kill him if you want. This is supposed to be the last movie for Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
We're kind of done with him. We're not going to get Freddy. You can kill him. They'll bring him back if they need to.
Sure.
So he said, all right, cool. I'm going to kill Jason. So his artistic mind said that little boy Jason is in purgatory, and his purgatory is acting out as Jason Voorhees, the masked killer. Danny's falling asleep as I say this. I'm trying so hard to understand.
I'm allergic to bad ideas.
How about this? Instead of Jason Voorhees melting away into his child form, and God knows what happens to him after that.
In pristine condition, by the way.
They actually shot another version where it's dehydrated fish Jason head and child Jason inside of dehydrated fish Jason head, trying to get out, struggling and drowning inside the mouth of dehydrated Jason head, and eventually I think he gets out. That version did not land in the theaters, but this one did.
And thank God, because this was already bad enough. Look, I've always said that the best thing that any franchise can do, if you muddy the waters on the way to it, as long as you stick the landing, baby, we're going to be with you. We're going to be with you. But if everything leading up to stick the landing is great and you shit the bed at the end, then we don't forgive you. i.e., Game of Thrones. Everything was great up until the ending. So what I'm saying here is that just have him wash away from the toxic waste. And it's fine. It was already ridiculous to begin with, but I get it. I'm an artist too. I would probably do some funky shit too, where it's like Jason rides the subway into eternity, or
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
It's like, oh, they gave me the final moment with Jason Voorhees. Well, I got to tie it all the way back to the first time we ever saw Jason. and the little boy version of him. Oh, he's in purgatory this whole time. He didn't mean to act out, or whatever.
Sure, I mean,
you're right. The way to go about this was to wash him away. We can bring
wash
him back
him away,
at that point.
and it's over. But
he washes away to L.A. for the next movie. Wink.
Jason takes the drought. Lance, I had a lot of fun with this movie, honestly, man.
Me too.
I didn't think I would. Jason Takes Manhattan is one of like the redheaded stepchild of the entire franchise. To be honest, as in talking about it, I don't know. Maybe I have more fun with it than I did the one before it, which is The New Blood. I don't know. I don't know, Lance, but I don't think of it as bad as some folks are like, oh, once it gets to Manhattan, it's just over. No, it's over after this for sure.
I actually like Manhattan quite a bit. Again, it's a stylized Jason. It's a fun Jason. And at this point, why not? After 3, I think you could have really just had fun with him the whole time. We did get a great 4. We did get a great 6. 7 was kind of mediocre, kind of mid. But I had fun with this one. I like going back to this one. I do like to watch this one.
Yep.
So, Danny, how many machetes do you get? Friday the 13th, part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
I was for sure, I thought, going to give it lower than The New Blood. Now I'm not that sure. So I'm going to give it par with The New Blood for me. So a solid 3 machetes.
Okay. I kind of feel the same. For different reasons. I feel like the people really cared about the last movie. I feel like this one was just like fun in a way. It could have been really fun if it was all Manhattan.
Yep.
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Nice.
I don't like giving halves, but I need it to be an edge over 7. So
okay.
I enjoy this one. I do like this one a lot.
Me too, man.
I watch it a lot.
Real cool fun fact that I learned not too long ago, at the end when pretty much the final, at least movie shot for Kane Hodder is that adult Jason kind of throws up all that water. That was actually him. He did it on command.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did it on command, and he did it by being able to just drink a shitload of water before he shot it. So there you go.
Very cool.
Kane Hodder, more than a stunt man. I'll say that. So there you go.
All right. Let's give it up for Kane.
Oh, one more thing I want to mention, Lance. The marketing to this, of the posters and all that stuff, yeah, that was all great. But Kane Hodder's appearance on Arsenio Hall.
Oh, that was before this.
Yeah, I mean, it was for this.
Right.
It was like,
It was
the
before it
marketing
came out,
for
yeah.
Manhattan. He appeared in full Jason character on the Arsenio Hall show. And, maybe that has inspired me and us for a lot of things that we do, perhaps. But it's a lot of fun. You look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Look up Deep Cuts with Danny.
Yeah,
on
look that up on
YouTube. All right. Until next time, that's Danny. I'm Lance, reminding you to
Lock your doors
bolt your windows
and take your best shot, motherfucker.
and join us next time in our Slasher's Paradise.
Mother? Hey, did you hear anything you like?
Thanks for listening to Slasher's Paradise tonight. Did you know that you can watch our podcast?
Where?
YouTube.com. If you go to YouTube.com, look up Slasher's Paradise, you'll find the Dead Candy page. And there you can see all of our podcasts, as well as a few shorts that Danny and I have put out. While you're there, please subscribe.
And while you are listening here, go ahead and find yourself that rate and review button. 5 stars is what we would love for you guys to give us. And you know what? If you can't think of anything to say in the review, why don't you go ahead and put some recommendations and or requests of horror movies that you would love for us to talk about.
If you'd like to find out more information about Slasher's Paradise or Dead Candy, the producer of our show, you can head over to facebook.com/deadcandyfix. That's DED Candy Fix. Here's to you guys.
This is Slasher's Paradise. Sorry, I had to work that in.
And I'm going to drink on that.